This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
The Pirates and Cardinals have the best two records in baseball, and they go head-to-head one final time this regular season. Could this be a preview of next week's division series? Coverage begins Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Here's what's ahead on the First Take podcast. Tony Romo goes down, so should we count the Cowboys out? And is Tom Brady the best quarterback in the NFL? Plus, it's the Jets and Colts on Monday Night Football. We'll tell you who wins, so let's get it started. Hello, hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Thanks for starting your week with us here on First Take alongside Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karam. Good morning, guys.
Glad to see you here in Bristol, Connecticut.
I'll be here all week.
Thank you.
Skip, another costly win for your squad. Obviously, Tony Romo suffering a fractured left collarbone in the third quarter of Sunday's win against the Eagles. So no Romo, no Dez, a slew of other injuries. They are 2-0, but Skip, are your Cowboys done?
Despite what my friend Stephen A. Smith was tweeting last night, no, they are not done. Not unless you tell me that both Romo and Dez are done for the entire year. Or you tell me that Dez and Romo return a little prematurely and they re-break the bones that are now broken. But Stephen A. Smith, if the best case happens, if Romo and Dez both return and remain 100%, you better believe this football team can get to the Super Bowl, because if they return healthy, the NFC is going to have hell to pay. So let's talk about what happens in the interim. I still have the best offensive line in all of pro football. And by the way, most people don't get this, but Ronald Leary, my starting left guard, could not play yesterday. So he should be back with a pulled groin by next week.
Yeah.
And my defense remains underrated because it keeps battling its tail off for Rod Marinelli. And what it pulled off yesterday against the Eagles in your town in Philadelphia was nothing short of quietly spectacular. So let's just talk about this. All my Cowboys need to do is win the NFC East, because if you win the East, and by the way, they already have two huge division wins, the NFC East title gives you a ticket into the playoffs, even if you have to play on the road. What have my Cowboys now done, Mr. Smith? They have won 10 straight regular season road games.
Franchise record.
That's unbelievable to me. 10 straight on the road. And they have beaten Chip Kelly all 3 times in Philadelphia that Chip has coached in Philadelphia. Really? That's unbelievable. This team, as I keep trying to remind you, loves to play and to win on the road. So would I bet against them in road playoff games? Should they have won at Green Bay last year? Because we know that was a you-know-what. That was a you-know-what. So let's get back to, even if Dez and Romo are gone for 7 or 8 games, can my Dallas Cowboys win the East? Absolutely, because maybe you can correct me on this, but I don't see their 3 division rivals, any of those 3, running away with the NFC East. Listen, your Giants are not 0-2 awful. The Eagles are not 0-2 awful. They will both make a little noise. They will both have their moments. Hey, the Redskins are not bad. They've already had their moment, but they still have Kirk Cousins at quarterback, which is why I don't fear long-term the Washington Redskins. So let me just go to, if my Cowboys, with Brandon Weeden at quarterback, who, by the way, very quietly went 7 for his 7 that he threw in that game yesterday, 7 for 7. And remember, this is his 2nd year in the system, and he made a big point last night. This is the first time since 7th grade that he's had the same offensive coordinator for 2 straight years. So he's far more comfortable in this system now than he used to be.
Yep.
So what if my Cowboys, who have some guts and fight in them that is becoming special, what if they pull off a win against Atlanta at home? What if they go to New Orleans, where Jameis Winston won yesterday, and beat Drew Brees to get to 4-0? Right. Guess what happens then? Here comes Greg Hardy. Here comes Rolando McClain. Maybe here comes back Randy Gregory from his high ankle sprain. You don't think that defense is just going to get a little stronger, but stronger? They will. So do I think they're done? No, they're not done, because they still can win the NFC East. Thank you very much.
Skip Bayless, Let me start off the show by giving you kudos because for the second consecutive year, you're absolutely right. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. The Eagles, once again, have let me down. I'm done.
Oh, you're writing it off.
I'm writing the Eagles off. I'm writing the Eagles off. And I'll get to that in a second. They just look pathetic. I can't believe how awful they have looked yesterday. The Dallas Cowboys looked sensational defensively. When I imagine the fact that they don't have Scandrick, that they don't have, Randy Gregory, okay, that they don't have Greg Hardy, that they don't have Rolando McClain, and I look at what that defense was able to do yesterday, it's very impressive. There's no question about it. And when you imagine Des Bryant and Tony Romo, it's clearly it's understandable why they were your Super Bowl picks. The Philadelphia Eagles are an entirely different story. The Philadelphia Eagles had 17 yards rushing yesterday. 17 yards rushing. In 2 games, they have a grand total of 70 yards rushing. Their 17 yards rushing yesterday is the worst since the franchise was in existence in 1961. Yeah. That's how bad the Eagles' offense was. Sam Bradford looked like a straight-up, I'm not going to even call him names. What I'm going to say is he looked pathetically weak. He looked petrified. He looked in over his head like a deer caught in headlights. The offensive line, whether it was Kelsey, whether it was Gardner, whether it was this dude Barbary or whomever, the Eagles' offensive line is a shell of itself, and Chip Kelly looks like no genius. You got rid of Evan Mathis, who's now in Denver. This was an 11-year veteran and an all-pro at your left tackle spot. You see where that's got you. Okay, Jeremy Maclin, your wide receiver, is gone. Clearly, Chip Kelly is so addicted to his system. His level of intelligence and his IQ is so above the charts compared to everybody else that somehow, some way, he does not believe that he needs talent in order to win in the NFL. He only needs his system. So, Skip Bayless, I will concede that you are absolutely, positively, 100% correct about your Cowboys as it pertains to the NFC East. Here's the thing.
Here we go again with
I was not measuring the Dallas Cowboys according to the NFC East. Sure, I picked the Eagles. Sure, I thought that they would do some damage because of their offense. Sure, I was wrong about that. I'm wrong about quite a few things. I don't pretend to be infallible, nor do I pretend to be perfect. What I pretend to be, which is not pretentious at all, is accuracy as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys overall. And what do I consistently say? At some point in time, the Dallas Cowboys, just like Jay Cutler, they won't let you down. Just be patient. What can go wrong will go wrong. Because why, Skip Bayless? They are, say it with me, they are an accident waiting to happen. Now, in all seriousness, because we have some idiots out there, adults and children, who literally believe that I'm laughing about somebody's injury. No, I don't want anybody to be hurt. I don't want physical harm to come.
Tweeting some more.
That's right.
Thank you.
Seriously, in all seriousness, because we've got some people even in our profession who will remain nameless. But I saw some of their tweets yesterday, that took it a bit seriously.
Okay.
No, that took it a bit seriously. Yeah. Okay, and I do not wish physical harm upon anybody. I wouldn't be sitting there laughing if somebody was on the turf paralyzed or something like that, or they had a neck injury or had to be carried away in an ambulance or anything like that. Injuries come with the game of football. As long as from a health standpoint you're ultimately okay, all right, and you don't have your career shattered or anything like that. When I'm laughing about it, it's about the result it's going to have on your football team, not necessarily you being injured. So everybody needs to pump the brakes there. Having said all of that, I couldn't help but giggle when I saw Tony Romo go down, because I said to myself, I hope he's okay. But I looked at Jerry Jones, who looked like he was on the verge of being taken to the hospital himself because of how depressed he looked, okay? You looked at the Dallas Cowboys season just flashing before their very eyes. I imagined and reminisced about my man Skip Bayless saying that I'm not just picking the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC. I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I couldn't help but laugh, because yet again, what did I tell you? The Dallas Cowboys, I believe, like you, they have the best receiver in football because I'm not ready to put Des Bryant over Charles Johnson because Megatron just doesn't seem to be Megatron. I think he's taken a bit too many hits in his career.
Calvin Johnson.
I'm looking at Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Calvin Johnson. I'm looking at Tony Romo. We know he's a big-time quarterback. We know what stats he can put up. But when the moment arrives, what's going to happen? I'm looking at their running game, which is virtually non-existent as far as I'm concerned. That defense, led by Rod Marinelli, looks like it could potentially be big time. There's no question about it. But the absence of Tony Romo in combo with Des Bryant for at least 8 weeks, I think it's safe to say this is what's going to happen. The NFC East is a wash because all the Dallas Cowboys have to do is play 500 football the rest of the way, and they got the division. Because I think 9 wins are going to deliver you the NFC East. But is it going to deliver you home field advantage?
No, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Against the Green Bay Packers? Against the Arizona Cardinals?
They can definitely win at Arizona.
Seattle Seahawks?
They can absolutely win at Seattle.
I'm not saying Dallas has the talent to win anywhere.
They also have the mindset.
And not only that, and they win better. They play better on the road to me than they do at home.
No doubt.
I'm simply saying to you that all of the stuff that transpired yesterday, all of the stuff that happened over the Dallas Cowboys over the last 2 weeks lent itself towards my position, which is this. At some point in time, something will go wrong with this team. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It could be it could be a traffic jam going to Texas Stadium, for crying out loud. It could be food poisoning for one particular game. It could be somebody. I don't know. All I know is that it never ever fails. And that is what made me giggle. Because this is nothing more. Don't think for 1 second that this is the last thing that's going to happen to the Cowboys. You can book it. Something's going to happen with Des Bryant.
A lot of good stuff is about to happen.
Something's going to happen with Des Bryant's injury. Something's going to happen with Tony Romo's injury. It's going to get prolonged somehow, some way. Something's going to get in the way. Because this is what it is, Skip. They are not meant to win. Their time has come. Their time is gone, and regardless of what happened yesterday, regardless of their victory, more harm than good was brought to the Dallas Cowboys, even in victory. And that is what it just...
Without their big three from last year, they still got it done. The Eagles might be more laughable right now.
So what? No, the Eagles are a joke. The Eagles are a joke. The difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys is that the Eagles are nothing to laugh about.
And we're going to get into that.
Because the Cowboys are talented. The Eagles, they look soft. They look ill-prepared.
Okay, save that for a second.
Save that. That's all it is.
I've been trying to get this through your head. My Cowboys are now an accident waiting to unhappen.
Really?
Because watch what's about to happen. If Romo and Dez do get back in, let's say, 8 weeks, best case scenario, we'll save that tape and we'll play it again and again and again. The accident waiting to happen.
Please do.
You know why?
Please do.
There's something going on with this football team. There's something special. The guts, the fight. If they were 0-2, if they had blown the game to Eli and then gone to Philly, and after Romo went down, Brandon Weeden stinks it up, and they blow the little lead that they have, and they lose to the Eagles to fall to 0-2, I'd be right there with you. That did not happen yesterday. Do you realize against the vaunted genius that is Chip Kelly, that Chip's offense in Philadelphia against my Cowboy defense, against Rod Marinelli in 3 tries has averaged 13.3 points. Against the rest of the opponents at home in the Chip Kelly regime, they're averaging 30 points a game. 30 a game versus 13.3. Something is going on here with this coordinator and this defense that can get them through the night. The offensive line didn't go away. Just watch what's going to happen now, because if they can just keep their heads above water, and I just made the case, I give them a shot against Atlanta and at New Orleans. I don't give them a shot in the 5th game against New England, but then they get a bye week. And if they start to get healthy and eligible, your prediction about accident waiting to happen is going to go right down the toilet.
Skip Bayless, I know that you love to be right. You're just addicted to the world confirming that you're right. But let's be clear about
especially against you.
He was pretty right yesterday. The picks, though, we'll give you props on that.
So what? A dead clock.
So what? Oh,
what?
This dead clock is right every Monday.
That's not true. That's not true. There's a few games you've gotten wrong last week. Let's call a spade now.
But who's ahead? I think I'm ahead of you like 7-1.
No, it's not 7-1. It's
7-1.
significantly much closer than that. But that's neither here nor there, Skip Bayless, because for me, me. As long as I'm right about the Cowboys, it does not bother me.
Yep.
And this is the beauty of it all. Because let me tell you something right now. Let me remind the world of my promise. Not a bet, but a promise. That I would have to wear Dallas Cowboys paraphernalia the entire week of Super Bowl week in the event that the Dallas Cowboys get to the Super Bowl. We all know I don't want that nightmare. And I am telling you right now, it will not happen. And that's what you have to pay attention to right here. Skip Bayless, you sit there and you hit your wagon a team. You're addicted, you hold on to them, and then you are absolutely, positively miserable for months when it doesn't happen. So at the end of the day, where does my joy come from? My joy comes from the reality that from December on, Skip Bayless is going to have a very, very miserable offseason because your Dallas Cowboys are going to let you down. Tony Romo will come back. Des Bryant will come back. And I promise you, something else will happen because it's already been ruined. They ain't getting home field. It's already, and even though they perform well on the road, they're not getting home field. You can cancel that. There's no way on earth that the Dallas Cowboys are getting home field advantage come playoff time with them being gone for 8 to 10 weeks. Tony Romo and Des Bryant. It's just not going to happen. Brandon Whedon is going to lead you to victory. Come on now. It's just not going to happen. I mean, he's going to win a couple of games now. They ain't going to completely wet the bed. But the Dallas Cowboys will struggle. They will not be the same team. And as a result, it will cost them home field advantage in the playoffs. And as a result of that, they will not be going to the Super Bowl. As I promised you, they would not. This, to me, as long as Tony Romo, God bless him, and don't want any life-threatening thing to happen to him, of course. But thank goodness, he's relatively healthy, but he can't play football. In the end, I want you on the field with your best losing that way rather than you getting injured, except with the Cowboys. Because with the Cowboys, my accident waiting to happen mantra, I love that to continuously prove correct. Okay, whatever can go wrong will. And that is what has happened to the Cowboys. And you will be forced to face that sooner than you think.
And you will be forced to wear Cowboy paraphernalia for that whole week leading up.
It will not happen.
No?
It will not happen.
Our bet is still in.
It's no bet.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask you to bet me. I volunteered.
That's
no
true.
bet involved.
Okay.
I will gladly do this because it will not happen.
Okay.
That miracle will not try to
Okay, but you're declaring it null and void as in it can't happen now, but it's still in effect, right?
It can't happen.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's still in effect.
We got it on record. All right, you heard from Skip and Stephen A. on the matter. Now it's time for you guys to weigh in on Twitter. Let us know what you think by replying yes or no to the hashtag #LosingRomo. All right, let's get into the other side of things now, the Eagles. They're 0-2, guys. DeMarco out of shotgun. It's not working. On 18 of his 21 plays, he had just 2 yards. Bradford can't throw downfield. Stephen A., you just said they're done, but how much trouble is this Eagles team really in?
They're god-awful. Let's just call it what it is. They're a soft team. The Philadelphia Eagles are a soft football team. And it's all the fault of Chip Kelly. All of it. First of all, DeMarco Murray is an eye back. He's a north and south runner. Why do you have him running sideways? Now, you want to blame DeMarco Murray, fine, because it looks like he was stupid for going to the Philadelphia Eagles because you got to know what Chip Kelly is doing. But Chip Kelly is supposed to be the bringers. He's completely misusing DeMarco Murray, and I applaud DeMarco Murray's heart. He was out there fighting yesterday. Now, granted, he wasn't getting any blocking from his, Barbary and Gardner and these boys, they didn't do anything. I mean, that offense, every time DeMarco Murray touched the ball, he had a hand on him before he could even make a move. They were not blocking for him at all. The offensive line was absolutely horrific and pathetic, inept, okay? They should be ashamed of how they performed. They should give money back for the way that they performed yesterday. That's number one. Number two, you let go of Jeremy Maclin, your number one wide receiver from last year. Skip, I really, really like Jordan Matthews. There's no question about it. But he's relatively young. He's a great number two receiver at this juncture. He's destined to be a number one. He has no business being your number one guy right now. Riley Cooper has no business being on that roster. All he could do is block, okay? And right now, he'd be a better offensive lineman than the offensive lineman they have, as awful as they have been. That's point number three. Point number four. Sam Bradford, Lord. I mean, he's got a worse passer rating than Nick Foles. He's got a worse passing rating than Johnny Manziel, even though Johnny Manziel's passer rating is better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL over the first 2 weeks of this season. I'm just looking at Sam Bradford right now. He looked like a deer in headlights. He looked petrified and scared to death at what Dallas was throwing at him. He seemed confused. He didn't seem to have that dog in him that you would want from somebody playing for Philadelphia, where you got to be a rough rider, you got to go after it, and you got to sit there and get feisty and be willing to fight. It's one of those, this is football we're talking about here. And don't tell me that the Dallas Cowboys didn't look in that dude's eyes and see somebody that was scared to death. Like I tweeted, he looked like a cat at a dog show, for crying out loud. Petrified of what was coming his way. It was really pathetic at how sadly bad Sam Bradford was. And so when I take all of those things into consideration, I'm looking at it from the perspective, Skip Bayless, that even though the Eagles have talent, and individually, they got some cats on their squad that can play for anybody. Collectively speaking, as they've been put together by Chip Kelly, they seem relatively inept. 5 of these 8 of the first 8 quarters of this NFL season, they have not scored a point. Not a single point in 5 of the 8 quarters. Don't give me the touchdown they scored last night. That was straight garbage. That was garbage time. Nobody's paying attention to that. So when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, their running attack, their passing attack, their protection at the line of scrimmage, it just doesn't seem to be there. And Chip Kelly is one of these guys. I mean, the arrogance is on an all-time high, because I haven't seen too many coaches in all my years of watching the NFL who believe wholeheartedly in their system so much that they don't need talent. We've got a system-style coach in Bill Belichick, but he recognizes that he can make modifications because he has Tom Brady. So at least he made sure he had talent somewhere. Chip Kelly is like, yeah, I need what I need. I ain't worried about talent. We got this covered because I know what I'm doing. And it's embarrassing. I worked in Philadelphia for almost 17 years. And there is, at no time does that city look more or resemble more of a morgue than when it loses to the Dallas Cowboys. So that's bad enough. But to lose to Dallas in this fashion, where you just seemed ill-equipped to even be on the same field as them, is so incredibly embarrassing.
With no Dez, no Romo,
no Dez,
home,
no Romo
and all those
at home.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing. There's no excuse for it, Skip. None.
First, on Sam Bradford, you will attest, I first guessed this one.
Oh, no,
I'm not second guessing. I
didn't guess against. I would say this. I didn't guess against you because I didn't know.
Okay.
I watched him in St. Louis. I knew he could throw the football, but I didn't watch him intimately enough to measure his heart. You have been watching him since his days in college, and you've always questioned his heart. I got to admit to you, I think his nickname should be Tin Man right now. I got a lot of questions about Sam Bradford after yesterday's performance. I really do.
As you know, I'm a University of Oklahoma fan, born and raised. I watched every snap Sam Bradford took in college, and I made a big statement on this show. St. Louis is making a huge mistake to take him #1 overall. And remember what they had to do before the rookie cap kicked in? They had to give him $50 million guaranteed in St. Louis. And then I went on record when Chip traded for him. I said Chip is making a big mistake because, to your point, Chip wants to be the star of the show. Sam Bradford is the ultimate cog quarterback, the ultimate sort of, extension of the coach on the football field. If you get your fast break offense going and you get on a roll, he can throw darts. If it starts to go just a little bit south, he will fold up, and he does not have the dynamic personality or body language or playmaking skills to reverse momentum for you. He's not going to make that play that changes the game. In fact, I would suggest to you that his body language is at least as bad as Jay Cutler's is. Did you see Bradford yesterday? Yes. Does he not hang his head fast? And his teammates are looking at him like, seriously? You got to help us. You got to fire us up.
You're getting no argument from me.
Hey,
you're getting no argument from me there.
Okay, so he's the wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time for a football team that went out and got a power back for a spread option geared offense. How How did Philadelphia kill the Cowboys on Thanksgiving night at Jerry World? With the spread option.
That's right.
I think they ran it 8 times with Mark Sanchez because Mark Sanchez has some athletic ability. And he kept the ball several times and just gashed him. And LaShawn McCoy can make you miss at the line of scrimmage. He's slippery. DeMarco is not slippery. The great stat is last year in Dallas, DeMarco obviously led the league in rushing.
Yeah.
His first contact came an average of 2.8 yards down the field. Yeah. In Philly so far, where he has, what's his total so far? 11 yards on 21 tries. He's been getting hit slightly behind the line of scrimmage with first contact. He's not going to make that guy miss. It's not that he's going to go straight down, but it's going to slow him up because the guy will get him around the ankles, and then the avalanche is going to fall in on him. So he's not the right guy for what you're trying to do if you're not going to run the spread option. Have you seen him run it one time with Sam Bradford? I've not seen any. I might have missed one, but I think they've gotten away from what they do because they've tried to cater to what DeMarco did in Dallas, and they're not the Dallas Cowboys. So this is a bad fit. And the only solution here is, I guess, they'd have to go to your guy,
I felt
Mark
bad
Sanchez.
for
Well,
DeMarco yesterday.
As I tweeted yesterday, because I tweeted a lot yesterday, I tweeted that they should have benched Bradford and put in Mark Sanchez. That's point number 1. Point number 2, just as an aside, when they decided to throw, when they were on the goal line, first pass incomplete, second pass interception by Sean Lee, and no time did they try to run the football. DeMarco Murray, very moderate, not demonstrative or bombastic in any way, is screaming at the sidelines, why, and going off. Had that been LaShawn McCoy or Deshaun Jackson or somebody, we would have heard a whole bunch of stuff about it. So maybe it's not about DeMarco Murray. Maybe it wasn't about those dudes. Maybe it's about some of the decisions that Chip Kelly is making. That's point number 2. Point number 3, Byron Maxwell might be able to play. He was a member of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
He is no number 1 cover corner. Can we at least concede that?
He had a long day yesterday.
He had a long day yesterday, and there was no Des Bryant on the field, and he had a long day. That 42-yard touchdown from Weeden, not Romo, Weeden to Terrence Williams.
Is that what you should
I'm not saying stay on the Weeden. You got to stay on the Weeden right now. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this. That pass, did you see the effort? Slant pattern, Terrence Williams, and Byron Maxwell was like, you got me. And I'm just sitting there like this. This brother just got $60 million now, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of number 1 game of the season, meaning week 1. The Atlanta Falcons are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Who's the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons? That's Mr. Dan Quinn. Who's the former defensive coordinator last year from Seattle? Dan Quinn. You think it's an accident that Dan Quinn went after Byron Maxwell? You think that's an accident? Granted, you got Julio Jones, one of the best of the game at wide receiver. Please don't get me wrong. But Dan Quinn was like, we don't go after this dude because he might have some insight into Byron Maxwell's cover ability. So all of those things taken into consideration. You got Chip Kelly. He paid $60 million to Byron Maxwell. He ain't showing up. You got rid of Evan Mathis, which, by the way, you reneged because you said that you were planning to pump up the back end of his contract. Then you rescinded that offer, which is what upset Mathis. And you decide to let him go, knowing that you were going to need him on your offensive line. We ain't even getting into Macklin, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy. Just the moves that you've made. This team, as far as I'm concerned, does not look like a team. It looks like a compilation of what Chip Kelly wants and is trying to make into a team, as opposed to it actually being a team. And that is what I believe cost them. And that's what I saw yesterday. And that's why I said, you know what? Eagles are toast.
And you know what? Last point. When things do go south in Philly, I don't think Chip has built up a reservoir of love in that locker room that you can fall back on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once it starts to go, they're like, wait a second.
Yeah,
they're going to win their share of games. But the aura that they had attached to them coming into the season, now we're remembering, wait a minute, this dude never won a national championship. And on a professional level, you went to the playoffs your first year. You finished both 10-6 both years, but you weren't in the playoffs last year. So suddenly we're looking at Chip Kelly the way maybe we should have looked at him all along. The man knows football. The man can coach. But his ego and his desire for more power may have gotten in the way of his responsibilities as a coach.
Just another day in the office for Tom Brady, getting the W in Buffalo 40-32. Listen to this. According to Elias, Brady is the first player in NFL history to have the following combination in the same game: 450 or more passing yards, 3 passing TDs, no interceptions, in 55 or more passing attempts. Let's not forget, this isn't against some slouch team. This is against the Bills defense. Skip, what statement did the Patriots make with that win yesterday?
Stephen A. Smith, a resounding statement that they are the best team in football because Tom Brady is by far right now the best quarterback in all of the National Football League. Yesterday, Tom Brady put his money where Rex Ryan's mouth was all week long. Yesterday, Tom Brady, as I always tell you, he speaks with his performance. He spoke even more loudly than those fans were at Ralph Wilson Stadium. And I don't know if they set any decibel records, but they were sure trying, especially early on when they scored first to go up 7-0. And Tom Brady said, deflate this, Buffalo, because obviously they were selling their little Deflategate air pumps in their official pro shop, the Buffalo Bills were. And yesterday, once again, with what I thought was as great a regular season performance as I have ever seen from Tom Brady under all those circumstances you were just talking about, he proved he is the best. He is better than Aaron Rodgers is right here, right now, at this point in time, at age 38. Tom Brady started 3 rookie offensive linemen ahead of him yesterday against the best front 4 in all of football. You know that, and I know that. That Bills defense is serious business because that coach, along with Dennis Thurman, his defensive coordinator, has bedeviled Tom Brady for much of his career. If anybody has ever had Tom Brady's number, it has been Rex Ryan. And down 7-0, feeling like his team was about to go straight over Niagara Falls, straight down the falls, Tom Brady said, no, not today, not even here. And Tom Brady threw for 466 yards against Rex Ryan's defense. Tom Brady put up 40 points in Buffalo. That's preposterous. That's impossible. I'm not sure people can grasp just how sensational, all-time great that was. Because it's not like Tom Brady has the greatest wideouts. Julian Edelman was really good yesterday. And by the way, Danny Amendola made a last drive catch that was just, it was the catch of the day.
Sensational.
But Tom Brady had, by my count, 4 drops. And I was big on Scott Chandler on Friday being an X factor. And Brady hit him twice, right in the hands down on the goal line with some 5'11" dude on him, and he's 6'7". And the moment was a little too big for him. So back in Buffalo, his old stomping grounds, he didn't come up big, and he's going to have to if they're going to be as great as I think they could be. But here's my bottom line point to you. I thought we might see Brady on a Deflategate mission. I'm going to take Deflategate out on opponent after opponent. I thought we'd see a little more Psycho Tom yesterday, emotional headbutting of the guys he threw the touchdown passes to. I didn't see that. I saw Surgical Tom. And that Tom's even scarier than Psycho Tom to me because he was just cold-blooded about shredding and just picking to pieces Rex Ryan's defense. They got to feel just as low as the Eagles feel today. Like, what do we do? 466 and 40 points on our turf with that crowd as we had galvanized Western New York? Really? I think it just flew all to pieces, thanks to my guy, Tom Brady.
Well, congratulations to you, because we all know that you love your moments to rave about Tom Brady.
He didn't deserve it yesterday?
Well, he deserved it, but you're not going to get me to say that he's better than Aaron Rodgers. I still don't feel that way. I'm just telling you right now. This is one person that does not feel that way in all seriousness.
What will it take to convince you?
I think that both of them are playing sensational football, to be quite honest with you, and I give Tom Brady an awful lot of credit. But I'm going to tell you somebody I'm going to give even more credit to. That's the 2 coaches. Bill Belichick, because of his preparation, and Rex Ryan because of his lack of preparation. Those 2 deserved more credit than even Tom Brady's unquestionably great performance. What I would ask you to pay attention to is what transpired after the catch. Listen, Mario Williams, Marcel Darius, and Hughes, and all of these boys, they couldn't get to Tom Brady because Tom Brady was doing two-step drops and getting the ball out of his hands inside of 3 seconds. They didn't have any chance to get to Tom Brady. He wasn't dropping back to pass, taking all day, taking pictures or anything like that. Tom Brady had that ball out of his hands quicker than you could say Brady. It was just that was just the reality.
That's sort of the object of the game?
Well, again. No. What I'm saying to you is that usually when a sack takes place, it's because you're in the pocket, dropping back to pass, looking for your receivers, and as a result, the pass rush is getting to you. Tom Brady, a pass rush might as well not even exist because the ball is out of his hands quicker than you can pass gas. That's just the reality. Tom Jackson was talking about the rub routes the New England Patriots run and how that worked so effectively in Week 1. Week 2, they were using that yesterday as well. Number 3, you look at Gronkowski. They tried everything on this boy. They put safeties on him. They put cornerbacks on him. They had a multitude of linebackers on him. Rob Gronkowski cannot be guarded. He can't be defended. He's too big. He's too gifted. He's too talented. His hands are too great. And he was getting open. Okay? So when I look at it from that perspective, that Amendola, first of all, let me say this to you. That first throw to Gronkowski, that was a sensational pass by Tom Brady. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, that was just right down the middle, right on the money. It was a great catch by Gronkowski, but you put it where Tom Brady put it the only place it could be put without it getting intercepted or being an incompletion. That was Tom Brady. So that was a great pass. That catch by Amendola, even though it was a great catch, that was still a great throw by Tom Brady. And there were several great throws, but primarily most of his passes were uncontested. Quick two-step drop, got it out of his hands, plays after the catch.
Well, that hasn't happened against this defense that much.
Well, that's why I said Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Because what I'm saying to you is that at some point in time, we're going to have to give Bill Belichick his due. I know that Tom Brady is great. I would never deny that in all seriousness. But I'm going to tell you why I think that you need to give Bill Belichick more credit than he deserves, than you refuse to give him. When you look at Bill Belichick, it's the Charlie. I'm not casting any aspersions on anybody, but it's the Charlie Weisses. It's the Josh McDaniels. It's the Bill O'Briens. It's the defensive coordinator that's now in Houston. That was a former coach in Cleveland. Romeo Crennel. It's all of these guys. There are a bevy of individuals emanating from Bill Belichick's system that, because of their success in New England, warranted head coaching opportunities. What have any of them done since they've left Bill Belichick? This man's preparation is elite, Skip Bayless. Elite. Okay, Tom Brady is sensational. No question. We're just arguing 1 and 1A between him and Aaron Rodgers as far as I'm concerned. It's not like I'm saying that Tom Brady isn't great. I know how great he is. I'm simply saying to you that Bill Belichick deserves a lot of credit. And Rex Ryan, I think more so than ever before, even more than a 45-3 loss as a member of the New York Jets when he was the coach there. I don't think Rex Ryan was ever as humbled as he was yesterday. He talked, he had everybody out there fired up, and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick picked him apart like he stole something. I mean, it was unreal what they did to Rex Ryan. I didn't see that coming.
I got to tell you, seriously, I'm insulted by the case you just made for Belichick over Brady in credit. I'm insulted, and I think Tom Brady would be insulted.
I don't think he would.
You did not mention the offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels. He deserves some credit for what goes on, because the real offensive coordinator is Tom Brady at age 38.
In fairness to me, the reason why I never mentioned Josh McDaniels is because I saw the job he did in Denver. And that guy running the offense with Brady as his quarterback ain't the same head coach that was running the Broncos. You understand? So I'm just of the mindset. I'm not saying the man can't coach. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any credit. But I'm just saying
they did win the Super Bowl last year.
I don't think as highly of him as I do.
Maybe he's a better coordinator than a head coach.
He's a product of Belichick.
Okay, now let's talk about what the product of Belichick was yesterday. He mostly coaches the defensive side of the ball. The Buffalo Bills ran for 160 yards. Tyrod Taylor played really well, I thought. Now, he threw the picks, that were just a little wild high.
And he was a little bit slow, too.
But I got to tell you, 23 of 30 for 242 and made a push at the end of the game to make it very interesting. Wound up scoring 32 points on Bill Belichick's defense. So we're going to give Belichick, giving up 32 points, more credit than we're going to give Tom Brady, who scored 40 on Rex Ryan in Buffalo before that madhouse crowd. That's just wrong. It's just...
I disagree with you, and I disagree with you because I think that as great as Tom Brady is, the system that they employ, I think that there are times when Tom Brady can literally throw it to somebody in the screen and on a screenplay, and the guy runs 50 yards, and you'll say, look at what Tom Brady did.
But that's not what was happening all day yesterday.
It was, of course not. It's never what's happening all day. But there are a lot of times within the confines of a game that Tom Brady is throwing uncontested passes like that. In no way am I trying to question his greatness. I know he's great. But at the same time, I don't think you pay attention to those kind of plays. And I'm saying to you, when I look at a Gronkowski, I mean, my God, Skip Bayless, there are times when Gronkowski is on the field. It doesn't matter if Jay Cutler's throwing him the football.
On the fantasy team.
But here's the point.
He's Gronkowski.
If he's uncoverable, even by 3 King Kongs, then why did Tom only target him 13 times yesterday and he threw 19 times to little Julian Edelman, a little 7th-round former quarterback?
Listen. Anytime you've got a slot receiver like a Julian Edelman, who's a guy that gets somehow finds gaps within the middle of the field in short yard passing situations, you're going to hit those targets. Tom Brady deserves credit for that, but that's also a system thing. But I'm not trying to say that Tom Brady isn't great, and I think that's what you're missing. I know he's great. We can debate.
Did you see what he did in the fourth quarter to the Seattle Seahawks?
I've seen what
Legion of Boom. He shredded it.
I'm going to repeat myself one last time. The only debate I'll ever have with you about Tom Brady is whether or not he's better than Aaron Rodgers, because I don't believe that. But I believe that Tom Brady is better than any other quarterback, and I believe that from a generational perspective, Tom Brady is greater than Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think he's better than Aaron Rodgers right now. But from a generational perspective, there's no question. All I'm saying to you is that for every 2 passes that Tom Brady throws that you just look at them and say, that's fantastic. There's about 10 of them where they're like practically dipping dunks. And I'm saying to you that guys are making plays after the catch in a system that facilitates Tom Brady's greatness to some degree. That's all I'm saying.
How many times against Rex have you seen Brady go, and get sacked? He was just on an all-time great roll.
I actually have, to that point, a stat that I wanted to share with you guys. The Bills' defense, when they send 4 fewer rushers over the last 2 seasons, against Brady, 5 TDs, no interceptions. Against the rest of the NFL, 9 TDs, 19 interceptions.
But I'm just talking about coverage that they play. Usually they have baffled Tom Brady. Not one time did he seem to hesitate yesterday. Not once.
But Skip, the man has basically dominated Rex Ryan.
Not really. I mean, his stats are way worse against Rex's defense.
But he's won 10 of the 14 games he's played against Rex.
But it's always a struggle. That wasn't a struggle.
He kind of knows him. It's not always. It wasn't a struggle when they beat him 45-3.
Well, that was the butt fumble game. That was Sanchez's fault.
All I'm saying, well, butt fumble is one play, not 45-3.
Well,
all I'm saying to you is that the man kind of knows Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan did a bad job yesterday. Tom Brady picked him apart. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, I'm just looking at it, I'm saying, wait a minute. You're doing 2-step drops, getting the ball out of your hands. Buffalo just got exposed.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers could not have done that yesterday on that turf.
If Aaron Rodgers was playing for Bill Belichick in that system, he could.
Football's back, and it already feels like the playoffs thanks to 1 Week Fantasy at DraftKings.com. With millions of dollars in prizes being paid out each week, every play in every game could take you closer to a life-changing payday. Hurry to DraftKings.com now. Use promo code TAKE and play for free with your first deposit in this Sunday's $1 million fantasy contest. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Enter TAKE for free entry now only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Yesterday, the Packers got the victory at Lambeau 27-17, their first win over Seattle in 6 years. So Green Bay is now 2-0, while Seattle is winless at 0-2. Now, under the current playoff format, only 12% of teams who have started the season with an 0-2 record have gone on to the playoffs. Stephen A., how much trouble is the Seahawks team in?
Well, I think they're in trouble because the measuring stick is another Super Bowl appearance. They've been to the last 2. whether or not are they going to get to a third straight. I think that they can right the ship and get to the postseason because I think they're gifted enough to do that. Beyond that, I'm not so sure. Russell Wilson, when he's running the football, had 78 yards on 10 rushes yesterday. When he's running the football and being that dual threat, I think, Skip, that Russell Wilson is very, very formidable and makes their offense very formidable. When he doesn't do that, I think he's a lame duck. Certainly when Marshawn Lynch is only averaging about 2.7 yards a carry because he only had 41 yards on 15 carries, that's a problem. And when you look at whether it's Curse or Baldwin or whatever, you can't go in an offseason and get a guy like Jimmy Graham and all he can give you is one reception for 11 yards and he's only targeted 2 times. You got him for a reason, and they're going to have to figure out a way, meaning Darry Bevel and those boys are going to have to figure out a way to get him the football. But we all know what the problem is with this team. The problem is defense. I would remind everybody that the last, not 1, not 2, but the last 3 years, the Seattle Seahawks were the #1 ranked defense in all of the NFL for 3 consecutive years. Where do they rank right now, Skip? 29th. Why? Because Cam Chancellor ain't there. And when you don't have your leader, your quarterback on defense, on the football field, who is the assassin, who's the guy with the shaded, with the shaded face guard, who's the Jack Tatum of your defense, okay? When you don't have that dude, whether it's Jack Tatum, whether it's Jack Lambert or Jack Ham or somebody like that, when you are Ray Lewis, when you don't have the quarterback of your defense on that football field, Earl Thomas is a bad boy. Bobby Wagner is a bad boy. We all know what Richard Sherman could do, even though he's gotten burned on a couple of passes this season thus far. He's still an all-pro. We know how elite this defense can be, but you don't allow your head to be cut off. And until Cam Chancellor comes back to that team, they're not going very far. Green Bay won the game last night because of Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay won the game and was assisted by that interception to Jerome Elliott, when he picked off Russell Wilson with about 6:50.
I'm not sure he recovered his own fumble, but they said he did.
That's right.
So
they said that
I'll
he
have
did.
to go with
they
it.
said they did, so we have to go with it. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. Cam Chancellor, and I'm going to say this last point, Skip, I don't think Cam Chancellor is just affecting them defensively. I think Cam Chancellor is affecting them offensively. In no way am I implying that Marshawn Lynch is sort of tanking or anything like that. But it's safe to say that he doesn't seem like himself. Now, your offensive line obviously needs to improve. You let go, that dude Unger is not there. You've got a couple of other missing pieces on your offensive line, and we know that. But the play calling in combination with the lack of oomph, for lack of a better phrase or word or whatever, the lack of oomph I'm seeing from Marshawn Lynch, I think to some degree that has something to do with Cam Chancellor not being there. Seattle's got some problems, and they're going to have to address this before this season falls by the wayside.
Yep. I'm with you on this one. In the third quarter, I saw the Seahawks reach down and dredge up the last 2 years' Seahawks. And they made a run, and they took the lead from Aaron Rodgers. And then when the money was on the line, when the quarter changed to number 4, they shrank and they folded and they went quietly in the fourth quarter. And I saw a troubled, distracted, deflated football team. And it's all about not only Cam, but it's all the Marshawn versus Darrell Bevel. It's all the things that are swirling. It's the culture. It's, do we really believe in our head coach anymore or not? And I just saw a team in the fourth quarter whose heart, like to your point, the heart's not in the game. Now, I'm not saying you're trying to tank the game, but your heart's not in it. Your whole focus isn't in it. You don't play with the same swagger, the same confidence. You're not sure anymore that you're still the Legion of Boom because, as we keep saying, the boom is gone. So am I advocating that management fold up and give Cam what he wants this week? I'm not. I don't know how you alleviate this impasse. But I'm with you until it gets alleviated, until he gets back in the fold. I think they will continue to struggle.
Well, I'm with you because I'm not advocating that they do that for Cam either. I think it would nice. Cam Chancellor deserves his money. I don't blame him for fighting for his money, considering the violence that exists in football, considering the fact that teams get to come to you to modify your contract, whether it be by waiving, cutting, taking a pay cut, etc. I don't blame Ken Chancellor one bit. But if the difference is $900,000, no matter how much Snyder may have gotten on his last nerves by telling them to his face, I'm not doing anything for you this year, next year, or the year after, no matter how wrong Snyder was for doing that, there are teammates to consider too. And those teammates right there are struggling, going to war without you. So I'm not advocating that he folds, but I'm also not advocating that Seattle folds. I'm advocating that both of them come to an accord somehow, some way, and shove aside egos and precedences and all of that stuff and reach an accord to save Seattle's season, because I think it's in danger. And here's why I think it's in danger. I could be wrong, because I'm watching the game on TV and I didn't see every camera angle, Molly, Skip. But over all of these years, I not only saw players playing for themselves, I saw players playing for Pete Carroll. Now what I'm seeing is players playing for themselves in spite of Pete Carroll.
Okay.
I don't see the same level of affinity that once existed for this man present at this moment in time. And I think that's a very, very dangerous situation for Pete Carroll to be in. It's actually becoming quite alarming.
Last two quick points. I even saw this affect Richard Sherman last night. And we know that the past couple of years he played with such arrogant confidence in a good way, but just his swagger, the way he carried himself, it's like you don't dare to throw over here. He completely lost focus a few times last night and lost his guy. And he said after the game, well, I kind of, I let them get away from me a couple times. His head and heart are not completely in this. And again, we talked about last week, is it because it's not that the team wanted to lose the game, but they had an excuse not to go win the game at Green Bay. And now they just want their guy to come back. And their new guy, my second point, to your point when you read Jimmy Graham's stats, when the game ended last night, it dawned on me that Jimmy Graham is now a Seahawk, and I could not remember him in the game. Seriously, I watched the whole game and I thought, I don't even remember him playing, and I had to go on .com to say, wait a second, did he catch? Oh, he did catch one ball. Caught one ball the whole game.
They're asking him to block. He doesn't want to block because they've got problems on the offensive line. And I think Chris Carter's absolutely right when he said that he might do his job, but he don't want to do that job. He don't want to block. The other side to it is Richard Sherman. I think, and I don't know this because I haven't spoken to Richard Sherman about this, but I think he's got a lot of things on his mind. I think that Richard Sherman, the all-pro Richard Sherman, it's not just Cam Chancellor being gone, because I don't know how close that unit is. I don't know how close those two are. But I think it's the combination of that combined with being married, being a dad, combined with, focusing on creating a better image for himself, not being that guy that was going off in the NFC Championship game when they beat San Francisco. I think that Richard Sherman may be just slightly a bit preoccupied with other things, but as an organization, they're preoccupied with a lot of things, and they haven't zeroed in on making sure Richard Sherman is on his game.
That's right.
Because they're preoccupied with a whole bunch of things themselves, which is why it's that much more important to make sure on both sides of the ball your quarterbacks are always in place, because when you have them, you don't have to worry about such things happening.
In case you missed it, Tony Romo suffered a fractured left collarbone in the third quarter of Sunday's win against the Eagles when he was driven into the ground on a 6-yard sack and fumble by linebacker Jordan Hicks. He previously broke his clavicle in Week 7 of 2010. He will undergo further testing today. 6-time Pro Bowler Eric Allen is in the house. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being with me. You know a thing or two about playing for those Eagles.
Yep.
But we're going to start with Skip here on this one. Skip, was that hit on Romo a dirty play?
Eric, Stephen A., I thought it was a disgustingly dirty play. Now, again, I'm a Romo fan. I'm a Cowboy fan, born and raised. So you can disqualify me if you want, but this is a longtime pet peeve of mine. I thought that play at least deserved a 15-yard penalty. And I believe it should go before the competition committee as the last piece of legislation whereby the quarterback is not protected. We protect them in every way because they are the game. I think we would all agree, would we rather see Tony Romo play than not play just for the sake of football? I think we would all like to see him play.
I agree with that.
So this kid named Jordan Hicks, third-round pick out of Texas, a rookie.
Yeah.
He's only in the game because we know Kiko Alonso got hurt, and Michael Kendricks got hurt, so he's suddenly in the game. And he readily tells the media after the game, oh, I saw that the ball was out, and I'm going to use his word, I attacked Tony Romo. Now, you want to talk about a defenseless player? Tony Romo is on the ground reaching for the football, so he is incredibly vulnerable. And all of a sudden, a linebacker, I don't know what he goes, 6'2", probably 240, 245, comes barreling down on Tony Romo and crushes him against the ground, pinning his shoulder underneath him and obviously fracturing the clavicle. Now, we see this time and again with quarterbacks who have let go of the football and get hit, and they allow the follow-through play to drive the quarterback into the ground and pin his shoulder against the turf. Boom. And often this will snap because it's vulnerable right here.
Some big guys out there.
Yeah, so some big guys on medium-sized quarterbacks. So in this case, when the kid even admits that I attacked Tony Romo because I saw the ball was loose. So he didn't attack the football, he attacked the quarterback. And he just might have changed my whole season with my Dallas Cowboys. Again, if Tony Romo's gone for the year, which is still a possibility, they got no shot. I'm sorry, they got no shot. But in this case, how can you?
Upset. I understand.
How can you at least not flag that for 15 yards? Isn't that unnecessary?
Because it wasn't an intentional hit to cause harm for Tony Romo. And what he was saying
it was intentional. He said he attacked him.
Exactly. He said he came free on the blitz and I attacked him. It's a violent game. We all understand that. It's a violent game.
Was he defenseless?
I've been a part of team. He's a quarterback. So
he's we can't hit him low.
We can't hit him in the head. So he's going to target where he needs to target, his mid spot, and finish and follow through. I mean, it was a completely legal tackle. So again, he came through on a blitz. He's a young guy. He's excited about being there. He attacks him. He doesn't know that Tony Romo's hurt. He knows it's a fumble. He gets off. He's celebrating. And it's devastating for the Dallas Cowboys. I understand that. And I've been a part of teams that understand how to pin that shoulder. Pin that shoulder underneath and put that weight. Tony Siragusa in the game against the Raiders, when I was with the Raiders, he intentionally flopped on Rich Gannon, and our season was over.
Wow.
So again, I understand and know about intentionally trying to put a quarterback out. This was no sign.
Would you like to legislate against the Tony Siragusa move on Rich Gannon? The intentional flop on
legislate. Not legislate. No.
Can we stop this?
No, we're just starting this, actually. Yeah.
This might be one of the most pathetic arguments you've ever made.
No, it's not. It's the best one I've ever made. I am so dead right about this.
Let me scoot on this side. Let me scoot on this side.
Let me say this. And I'm dead serious about this. This is the only time, contrary to what people may believe, I actually don't get irritated with this guy much. I really don't. But it's arguments like this that irritates me. Here's why. If this was Drew Brees, we wouldn't be having this discussion. This is because it's Tony Romo. That's what this is about.
I would bring it up on Drew Brees.
I'm not saying you don't feel the way that you feel. I think all your opinions are legit. People out there who think that they don't know you, you really mean what the hell you say. I'm not. That's not what we're saying here. Right. I'm talking about the argument in favor of if this were Drew Brees. We would not be having this discussion.
Let's just keep it up. Was this a dirty play? Was this a dirty play?
No.
Also, you attack the defenseless quarterback on the ground, and you break his clavicle.
Allow me to explain why.
Great. Let's just go right on with our game of football.
I got this. Let him get it out of the system, because that's his way of interrupting to take time away, because he doesn't want me to make my argument. You finish? When you finish, because I got it.
You're trying to distract everyone.
I'm staying right here.
Stay on display.
Because it matters. Because I'm talking about Romo. That's why I brought up Drew Brees. Because I'm talking about Romo. Because of your affinity for Romo and the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, my God. Can we arrest Hicks? Why don't we just put him in handcuffs right now? It's ridiculous.
Did I say that?
He's a quarterback.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
He's a quarterback. He is a quarterback.
That's my point. Thank you.
By the way, and so just so everybody knows, I got it on my computer here because I'm replaying a play. Right. If you replay the play, Skip, what you would see is that Tony Romo has the ball in his hands. He then loses.
It's gone.
Come on,
it's gone.
No. It's coming out of his hands.
Right.
Hicks has him by the hip. Okay. And yes, and I told you I was with Joe Montana last week. Joe Montana, that's exactly what he was complaining about. He said, quote, they need to take the play out of the game. He said, of all the hits I've gotten, I can take the hits. It's when they ram their body, that extra oomph, when they put you into the ground.
Do you remember Montana in the Giants playoff game with Jim Burt crashing down on him?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Remember the finger?
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, he agrees that the play should be taken out of football. We're not disputing that. But we know it's in it now.
Yeah.
And we know that as a quarterback, that's going to happen. There's two guys that they're going to target. They're going to salivate at the opportunity to hit two people in football. A quarterback on a busted play where he's open, it's open season on him, and you get the tee off on him, and a kicker. Those are the two people. The Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys number 38 popped the mess out of Jones the punter.
He didn't pop the mess out of him.
No.
He just blew a shoulder out. Yeah, come on, he just bumped him.
I apologize. I'm just talking about the way he fell back. He's a little dude.
Yeah.
So it may not have been that big a deal. I'm just using that to highlight that those guys. I mean, when
so
they.
What are we,
so the point is this.
How are we supposed to tackle the quarterback?
All I'm saying is exactly. My point is this. Tony Romo's a big boy. You're the quarterback. You were sitting there in the process. The ball was still in the vicinity. He had an opportunity to hit the quarterback, ram his body into him. Who would pass up on that opportunity? Last time I checked, that's been going on. So because
it's a free shot as a defenseless quarterback. I get it. That's how we play. That's how we play our game.
Which is why
I love this game.
Which is why I brought Drew Brees into the mix.
I don't care about Drew Brees.
Anybody, pick anybody. If this was someone other than your quarterback, he would go like this. This is Skip. You know what? I don't like to play. I wish that it was going, but hey, man, that comes with the game. But because it's Tony Romo, no. Let's arrest Skip. Let's arrest Hicks. Let's put him in handcuffs.
Yeah,
how dare him do this to Tony Romo?
Yeah.
That's you. That's what you do.
No, here's what I do. Tony Romo was about to be completely out of the play. If Jordan Hicks had not admitted to the media after the game, I saw the ball was loose, so I attacked Tony Romo.
He came through on the blitz.
On the blitz.
No. I blitzed my gas.
He finished him off. I've seen the play 19,000 times. That's why I brought it up in our meeting. I said I'm
not looking at it right here.
I've already
That's what I see. My glasses, you need me to take it off, put it back on. I'm looking at it right here. I'm looking at it right here.
The quarterback, and I'm going to ram him into the turf. I'm going to ram him into that's what he did.
He didn't
was he a defenseless player? I need you to tell me. Was Tony Romo defenseless at that point?
I think the quarterback is always defenseless because even when you're standing back to throw the football, it's not like you can hit them; they can hit you. So that is why the quarterback is so protected. Is that can you refute? Hold on, Eric, Skip. Can you refute the argument that the quarterbacks are more protected today than they've ever been?
Sure, they are, but I told you this is the one. But I told you agreed with me.
So you want another rule instituted to protect the quarterback? Another one.
You just told me that the greatest quarterback ever, Joe Montana, would like that rule instituted.
He has the right to say that he played the position. Who's hitting you? Who's hitting you?
What do you mean I don't have the right to say it?
Say what you're talking about.
Joe Montana said it. I'm repeating it.
All right.
And I've been saying it for years.
And I said to Joe Montana, he has the right to say it because he's the quarterback.
Where are we going to hit him?
If he has the football in his hands and he hasn't thrown it yet, you can blast him. But if the ball is gone, you have to pull up.
The ball wasn't gone.
Okay, but it's like on the punter. You have to pull up. You can't run down the punter if you don't block the punt.
Exactly,
right?
but
so you are capable as a really good athlete of pulling up. You just can't drive the quarterback into the turf. You know I'm right about that.
Oh, no.
You gave me the Syracuse anecdote.
Yeah, it's not right, but it's in the game, Skip.
It's in the game.
Oh, it's in the game.
It's in the game.
It shouldn't be in the game.
Oh,
it will be.
Like I said. Like, if it were anybody else other than Brady or Romo, I'm going to throw Manziel in there. T-ball people playing. I'm going to throw them. But it's Tony Romo. So we need to outlaw this. But if it's, you know how many times Skip has sit up here for the most violent things that have taken place in the NFL, and Skip will sit up there and go like this. Hey, man, you know, that's what comes with it.
I appreciate both of you making my case. You with Joe Montana and you with Tony Saragusa. Thank you very much.
Right, yeah.
This is a nice little Monday morning convo. Thanks to everyone for being with us. Eric, you brought it out of them. They weren't this hot.
Molly, I got another suggestion.
Okay, go.
Why don't we just have the quarterbacks wear the red jerseys they wear in practice? So we don't have to touch them at all.
Outstanding.
So we don't have to touch them at all, Skip. We don't want to touch them. No, we don't want to do that.
Is the quarterback the most important player on the field?
Hey, that comes with it. That comes with it.
Is the quarterback the biggest part of the entertainment package that is the National Football League? Yes, it is.
If you sat up
Would you
here
rather
and
watch
argue,
Brandon Wheaton or Tony Romo?
If you sat up here and argued with Ray Lewis, you know what Ray Lewis, our future Hall of Famer, would say to you? He'd go like this: "Damn it, them men. They got to play a football game just like we do."
Yeah, and you know what? Ray Lewis never has to lie on the ground prone, reaching for a football and have somebody crash down on him. Yeah, be a man, Ray.
Be a man, Ray Lewis.
Let him be a quarterback.
I say, be a man to Ray Lewis. Be a man. Be a man. Ray Lewis. Wait. Okay.
Wait a second.
Hold your voice.
I said it.
Go back right now. Ray Lewis. Put the camera on me right here, right now. Put the camera on me right here.
I need the camera.
Ray Lewis, be a man. Skip said, be a man. Be a man, Ray Lewis. Be a man.
Has he ever played quarterback in the National Football League? Wait a second. Has Ray Lewis ever played quarterback in the National Football League?
But I will make sure.
Why would he be a man and play quarterback before he makes that kind of
He's supposed to be on my radio show today, too. I will make sure to relay that message to him. Today.
And tell him he is very welcome to come sit right there.
That's right.
I will say the same thing.
I'm going to tell him that. Be a man. Look at the camera again. Tell Ray Lewis. Just say be a man. Just say be a man.
I'm going to ask him.
Just say it.
Would you please go out on the football field and fumble the football on your back and try to reach for it and let somebody crush your reach?
I want you to say to Ray Lewis, be a man. That's the quote of the week.
Say it.
That's the quote of the week. Say be a man.
Well,
stick out your chest. Say it with your chest.
I'm giving backpedaling instruction after the show.
I'm not. I don't backpedal. I just told him I'd say it to his face right there because I'm right about this.
I love you, buddy.
So the Cowboys are 2-0 for the first time since 2008, but the Eagles not so much. They now have their first 0-2 start since 2007, but what if they don't win next week? Well, only 3 teams since 1990 who have started 0-3 have reached the postseason. The Chargers in 92, the Lions in 95, and the Bills in 98. We welcome back Eric Allen. You spent 7 seasons in Philly. Eric, help us out here. Can the Eagles be fixed?
Yes, of course, they can be fixed. It's not going to be an easy fix, but they can be fixed. And I wasn't surprised by the outcome of the game on Sunday. You know, the Dallas Cowboys have been a tremendous team on the road, winning 9 in a row, now 10. You know the defense is going to be inspired, Cowboys-wise, going against DeMarco Murray. But the Eagles cannot get out their way. The first game, they had 7 or 8 penalties offensively. They need to fix that part of the football team. Defensively, the same issues that have been plaguing this team since basically Coach Johnson has died, passed away. They've always struggled defensively, and they're getting even worse today. You're talking about Maxwell not being able to cover. They've completed anything they wanted in the first game on the right side. It came back this week, and when Wheaton making a great throw in the red zone, a little post route to Terrence. So the same issues defensively that are plaguing this football team, they need to fix that. They don't pressure the quarterback as much as they did last year. But offensively, that's really where the issues are. You get Murray, and you expect Murray to be the downhill runner that we saw last year in Dallas. They're running from a shotgun. That's not what he likes to do. That's not his style. Usually in a shotgun, they have McCoy, a guy who's able to make guys miss, who's slippery. That's not Murray's type of running philosophy. They did an outstanding job on Sproles. Dallas Cowboys did yesterday. They were inspired defense. So this can be fixed, but they first have to fix the point of running the football effectively. They need to find out. And again,
are you going to install the I formation?
No, they don't need to install the I formation. But offensive line-wise, you need to do a better job of sealing, giving him a hole where he can hit the hole and not go from sideline to sideline. And Chip Kelly has been successful everywhere he's been. He's going to be able to change up and make sure that his running back that he got from Dallas is able to help his football team. And the only way he's able to do that is by offensive line and getting some holes where he can run straight up and down the field.
Eric Allen, I need you and folks outside of Skip Bayless, I'm talking about people that played in the NFL to define success for me. I understand where you and I are coming from. But with all due respect, I am getting sick and tired of people telling me that Chip Kelly was successful. Chip Kelly won football games. Chip Kelly never won a national championship.
Right.
Chip Kelly missed the playoffs last year. Chip Kelly is a good football coach. But I do believe that we have the right to sit there and say, or distinguish rather, the difference between being a winner and being good. There is a difference. Do I think Chip Kelly's a good coach? Yes, the record mandates. Even though they didn't make the playoffs last year, even though they lost 3 of their last 4 regular season games, and they now have lost 5 of their last 6 regular season games when you consider the fact that they're 0-2 right now. There's no arguing that in 2 seasons in Philadelphia, Chip Kelly is 10-6 both seasons. He ain't 6-10. So we're going to sit there and give him credit where credit is deserved and say he's a good coach. But there's a difference between being good and being a winner. And I have yet to see Chip Kelly validate that he is a winner. So now we look at the fact that he is no longer in college and he's on the NFL level, and now he's controlling stuff because he's the de facto GM essentially, and he's calling the shots in terms of getting guys out there. Well, or getting guys on your squad. You brought Byron Maxwell into the mix. Paid him over $60 million. I remember you, Eric. I know you could play. And I know you know when somebody is a bit overrated at that cornerback spot.
For sure.
Can I get an amen on Byron Maxwell?
Oh, you can.
Say it. Say it with me. Say amen.
Amen.
There we go.
Because he is struggling just like the rest of the corners.
All right.
So in that defensive
I understand that, but I'm not going to get on Walter Thurman III and other cats. They weren't paid $60 million.
Right. And the safety's actually playing pretty good.
That's right. Now you got to skip the problem with your inside linebacker spot. Kiko Alonso, fresh off of 2 ACL injuries, you decided to bring him in Philadelphia. He had that left knee bothering him in training camp. You put him out there anyway, he injured again. Mikael Kendricks, he's now out. He got a problem. He's your inside linebacker. Okay, let's switch to the offensive side. That's just defense. That's just defense.
Who's been struggling for a couple of years.
Who's been struggling for a couple of years now. Couple of years now. Not 2 months, 2 years. So we're going to get that out the way. Now we go to the offensive side of the ball. Evan Mathis is gone because you want to rescind an offer that you made to him to pump up the back end of his contract. You sit there and say, we want to rely on this offensive line. Backups and Gardner and Barbary and these boys, you relying on them. You can't block. Okay, you got a north-south runner. You asking to run east and west. I'm looking at the Eagles' offense, and you know what I see?
What do you see?
Softies.
Softies.
That's right. I said it. I ain't talking about DeMarco Murray. I'm talking about a relatively soft offense. I'm not talking about Sproles. I'm not talking about DeMarco Murray. I'm talking about cumulatively. I'm talking about a unit. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm not calling him soft.
Jordan Matthews can ball.
Yes.
He's an elite number 2.
Yes.
Just a little bit shy of being number 1. He needs another year or so. All right? Don't talk to me about Riley Cooper. Damn it, he needs to be on the offensive line because all he does is block. Remember? That's the first time we learned that the criteria for the wide receiver was blocking instead of catching passes. Remember, we didn't know that until Chip Kelly came along, okay? So I'm just looking at these guys, Aguilar and these boys, they got to prove something.
They do.
First 2 weeks, the Eagles, last point, Eagles were scoreless in 5 of the first 8 quarters of this season with that high-powered offense. You know why? Atlanta punched them in the mouth in the first half. The Cowboys punched them in the mouth in the first 3 quarters.
You're talking high powered. They're not high powered anymore. That's where we need to.
I agree with that.
They lost their explosiveness. Okay, 2 years ago, Deshaun Jackson, the guy who can break the top off, he was too small, too whatever for you in the locker room.
I get that, Eric.
They need to find a way to get back to running the football.
I want to bring Skip in here. All I'm saying is this. For the first 2 quarters against Atlanta and the first 3 quarters against Dallas, they weren't just held scoreless. They got punched in the face.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's what I mean. So somebody punches you in the face and you don't respond, that's usually the definition of soft. Now, I could be wrong, Skip, but all I know is whatever hood you want to pick, white, Hispanic, black, whatever, what's known as soft is when somebody punches you in your face or in your mouth and you have no response. That is what the Eagles have been for 5 quarters.
Check those penalties.
Is a fact.
Check those penalties.
Yeah, too many daggone penalties. Yeah. All I'm saying to you is Philadelphia Eagles.
When you're trying to punch somebody in the mouth and someone's holding you back, that's penalties. I'm holding them back.
All right. You can say that.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket. Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt. Frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
Hello again. So the question earlier was, are the Eagles fixable? Eric Allen says yes. Stephen A. says they're soft. Skip, can you fix them?
I'm with Eric on this one. Now, I can't fix how good Sam Bradford is because I never liked him from the start before that first draft. Watched him at University of Oklahoma every snap, never loved him. Bad idea to take him number one. I'm not sure the running game is fixable, but it can still be decent. And I think Philly can still be pretty good. Even though I'll be the first to admit I raved about them through the preseason because they were sensational for all 4 games. And I slightly overrated what that meant to this. But I must say, you brought up the second half at Atlanta. I saw the preseason Eagles in the second half at Atlanta. I saw them just rock and roll up and down the field, and they came from 20-3 down at halftime. And if Parkey had made that, what was it, like a 44-yard field goal, they win the game. I'm pretty sure we're talking about the 1-1 Eagles. And in a way, because you got Philly roots, you tend to overreact a little bit like Philly fans overreact, especially after Dallas does that to you. Really, it's the 4th straight year they've lost at home to Dallas, but it's 3 straight years Chip Kelly has lost at home to Dallas. Can I give my Cowboys defense a little bit of credit instead of heaping all the blame on Chip Kelly? Because in 3 tries at home against my Cowboy defense, Chip Kelly has averaged 13 points a game.
That's phenomenal.
Against every other opponent at home, Chip Kelly has averaged 30 points a game. Okay, now what? That says something. Like they've got your number here. And by the way, not that I'm going to defend Byron Maxwell because you're dead right about everything you've said, but remember, somehow my Cowboys held on to the football for 40 minutes of that game. They dominated the first half in time of possession, so it's 40 minutes to 20 minutes. So that means Byron and company are on the field, and you can certainly speak to this. It's a lot of snaps, man. I mean, you are just worn out.
You're right. And I think a couple things when you're playing the Cowboys, we always talk about time possession, not important with the Eagles. It needs to be important when you play the Cowboys because what they need and want to do in running the football. And the running game needs to be fixed more like the Patriots when they run LeGarrette Blount. That's the adjustment that Chip Kelly needs to make with the running game as far as DeMarco Murray is concerned. And I agree with you. I think the Cowboys don't get enough credit or didn't get enough credit of doing a good job. Now, I knew they were going to do a good job against Murray because, you know what, you're pumped up, you're excited about playing, that guy, even the punter.
And I don't think he's the sideline.
But the job they did against Sproles was spectacular.
It was pretty good.
Sproles has been successful in any type of situation. They did an outstanding job against Sproles. So I think LeGarrette Blount more for the Eagles running game and the defensively, they need to pressure the quarterback more.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, it wasn't just about the Eagles defense. It wasn't just about the Dallas Cowboys holding on to the football. The Philadelphia Eagles, they went 3 and out on 5 of their first 7 possessions, and the other 2 were 4 and outs. They were doing nothing offensively. Now, Darren Sproles, keying on him, definitely had something to do with it. But if you have no running game, because Ryan Matthew only gets 1 attempt, and DeMarco Murray's, you got him running east and west instead of north and south, then all of a sudden that allows you to key on other dudes. What makes Dez Bryant special? There are plenty of plays where you know exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do. And Dez Bryant says, so what? What you going to do about it? I'm with Joe Montana last week again. Other than Jerry Rice, tell me a receiver that you wanted to play with. He said Chris Carter, our very own Chris Carter. Why? He said because from the time we were in the Pro Bowl together, he said just throw the ball up. I'll get it. What happens is that who is that person on the Eagles? The fact is no one is. So now we get to Chip Kelly. Back to Chip Kelly. Because Chip Kelly is the one that made those decisions. He made those modifications. Can it be fixed? Of course it can be fixed because they have the talent. The question about them is their culture and the toughness that comes with it. Because as individuals, we know individually they are tough. But Eric, you have played on teams where you're tough And you could pick out a guy on the line, he's tough, and another guy in the secondary, he's tough, and another guy in the offense, and he's tough. But collectively, if you're surrounded by a bunch of dudes where Chip Kelly is breathing in your face about, just do this the way that I say, and do that the way that I say, and we will be perfect. That ain't the man's game that we are accustomed to seeing.
So how did Chip Kelly, what was his first 2 years record? 10-6, 10-6?
Right.
And then last year they got to 9-3, if I remember, before they cratered?
That's right.
How did they do that?
You also have to remember, because we all know that the man knows football and he can coach. Nobody's saying otherwise. The problem is that those were with other players. He got rid of 9 different dudes, all contributing for other teams right now. He has changed the culture of this team.
The guys you're talking about who will be able to make a play even when the play looks like those guys are gone. Sean McCoy, a guy who can make something out of nothing.
They're not tough guys. They're just talented guys.
I'm sorry. Y'all finally hearing me now?
Well, but you've been talking about soft. I'm talking about talent, man.
I'm saying they're talented guys. They ain't tough.
Talented, not tough. Let's leave it there.
You ain't tough. What are you?
I'm talented.
You ain't tough. What are you?
You're not in the league.
You're soft.
Got to be a rough rider. It's football. It's got to be a rough rider. This ain't tennis.
We got to put flags on the quarterback, though.
So during week 1, Marcus Mariota exceeded our expectations and Jameis Winston fell short of them. But this week, Mariota was sacked 7 times as the Titans lost to the Browns. Jameis, on the other hand, who was intercepted twice and sacked 4 times in a losing NFL debut, kept it together against New Orleans yesterday. He completed 14 of 21 passes for 207 yards and was not intercepted. Skip, what did yesterday's games tell you about Marcus and Jameis?
Stephen A. told me that the NFL world dramatically overreacted to Marcus Mariota's Week 1 performance, and also many people overreacted to Jameis's Week 1 performance by declaring him a bust, that he should have gone down the draft, that Mariota should have gone number 1. Jameis beat Drew Brees at Drew Brees yesterday, and that is not easy to do. Obviously, he had help from his run game and obviously from Lovey's defense, but he played big yesterday. I didn't get to watch much of it. I was flipping back and forth, but he did not turn the football over, and he made one big throw for one big touchdown to Vincent Jackson. Mariota, I did watch. He was pretty awful, had a long day in Cleveland, and to me, the pressure was on, as Molly said, 7 sacks. His accuracy, as I've often said, it came and mostly went. He was indecisive with the football. He held the ball too long, and then he got really, really careless with the football, as many rookie quarterbacks are wont to do. But in this case, he lost 2 fumbles and had lost another one and got saved by a clock violation. They didn't quite get the snap off in time, but he got hit and sack fumbled again and lost that one. So, again, I'm standing by my guns. I think Jameis is going to be very good and prove to be better than Marcus Mariota in the long haul, and now we only have 2 weeks to go by.
Well, I agree with you on your second point, not on your first. I think that a lot of people overreacted by how awful Jameis Winston was in Week 1. I thought he did a good job yesterday. I thought he was steady, didn't turn the ball over, completed 14 of his 21 passes, threw a touchdown. Doug Martin was running the football relatively effectively.
He was.
More than 4 yards. A carry finished for 78 yards on the afternoon. And I just think that, from that perspective, I thought it was fine. I do think you're being a bit hard on Mariota. Here's why. That brother took a hit earlier in the game where he got not only hurt his ankle, but he got hit high right at the time he got hit low as well. He was woozy. I was wondering whether or not he should have even been in the game. He wasn't steady, and his whole game changed. And I think it's because all of his faculties weren't in order. It wasn't just the 7 sacks. It was how hard he was getting hit.
I did not hear any concussion protocol for him.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't see it. I was watching. I was looking for it. I was looking whether or not it was going to happen. I saw a guy getting popped. I saw a guy that looked a little bit woozy for a couple of plays. I saw a guy that was obviously very reluctant and hesitant because of the hits that he was taking, but was willing to show his toughness and stand in there and take some punishment. I don't believe he'll do that again. I don't believe he has to worry about getting sacked 7 times most afternoons. I think adjustments will be made by Ken Wisenhunt and his staff, and as a result, you'll learn from it. But I think more importantly, you not only saw guys praising his talent and his IQ, but I think yesterday they were praising his toughness. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, we didn't know too much about Mariota. I'm not saying that any of your points are wrong about what you saw from his play. I'm saying considering how woozy he was from those initial shots he was taking, and it was really the first time, because we all know that week 1 didn't even exist. I mean, he was sitting back there taking pictures, calling the parents and everybody else. I mean, there was nothing that went on with him against Tampa Bay.
Okay,
yesterday was his first real NFL game.
You made the point about Tom Brady. 2-step drops, the ball's gone. Right. Against Tampa, everything was pop, pop, pop. It was all dink and dunk, and then yards after catch.
I totally agree with you. But what I'm saying to you is I'm only speaking in terms of the punishment. Mm-hmm. The fact that he stood up in there and took some punishment he clearly was not exposed to in week 1, I think is going to serve well for him when it comes to his teammates recognizing his skill sets and his toughness. And I think that's something that could work to his advantage. So all I'm saying is just like we ignored somewhat what we saw from Jameis Winston in week 1 because of how awful Tampa Bay was, we need to ignore what we saw from Mariota in game 2 based on how he got little protection and how Tennessee played by a yard large yesterday afternoon. From this point forward, we can look at it a bit differently, but I'm going to give him a mulligan based off of what we saw yesterday. And not only that, let's take a moment to praise Johnny Manziel just a little bit there. He showed up yesterday, played really well.
Yeah, against a Dick LeBeau defense.
That's
right, that did a number on Jameis Winston down in Tampa in the first week. So that's pretty good.
That's right.
Jets Colts, who you got?
Colts are my pick to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. We all know that. Wasn't enamored with their performance in game 1. I think they're going to lose tonight, too.
Really? Wow.
Cromartie's sprained knee probably won't play, but T.Y. Hilton being out.
No, that's sort of unclear.
He may be out. He may be out, and Andre Johnson's your number 1 guy if that happens, and Darrelle Revis is on him.
Okay, if you're going against Andrew Luck, then I have to go against Andrew Luck. Now I'm convinced because I was on the fence, so I'll go also Jets.
You're going to go Jets?
Yeah.
All right, Jets Colts tonight on ESPN. Thanks for hanging with us and enjoy the game. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Catch First Take weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2.
Last week, Julie Carroll posted a status that read, "Just had the most delicious banana ever." It got 2 likes and 4 comments. Well, Julie, Geico also wants to make a comment. What if we told you in as little as 15 minutes you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance by switching to Geico? With those hundreds of dollars, we bet you can find another banana equally, if not more delicious than the one you had last week. Hashtag go bananas. Hashtag savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The Pirates and Cardinals have the best 2 records in baseball, and they go head-to-head one final time this regular season. Could this be a preview of next week's division series? Coverage begins Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.